Today's video is going to be about practice. I'm not an instructor, or I'm not certified in this or anything like that. I don't even know of a place here in the United States where you can do that at. But for you guys that's interested in this type of climbing, if you type in on YouTube, go to YouTube or Google either one and type in CFE maneas, M-A-N-E-A-S. There's a whole bunch of stuff that'll come up on this. In Mexico, they call this, it's referred to as maneas, a form of climbing. In Cuba, it's two rope. Different parts of the world, it has a whole bunch of different names. And that's basically, I actually got mine from, I first started using this, I got it from, they climb coconut trees, some island areas. And that's what drew me to it. And I first put together a system to try to mimic what they was doing and liked it and tried to work on it to make it better. But this video is all about practice, and it's just how I practice. So it's I'm not telling you what to do. I'm showing you what I do, and this is for entertainment. I'll go ahead and hook my ropes up. When it comes to practice, even hooking your ropes up should be practice. I always hook up in a certain order. My foot loop goes on my left side, so I throw the rope from the right side around the tree. And I allow myself from the adjuster, about 8 to 10 inches, something like that. Just a little bit further to my foot loop. You can see that distance there. But and the reason I do that is because my left hand now will control this up and down. See? And then whenever my leg loop, it'll go from the left side of the tree, even though it's being controlled by the right hand. Now, if I was on like telephone poles, this probably wouldn't make as much difference. But on telephone poles, you don't have to work the rope as much to go up. It's sort of like a maple. This happens to be a poplar, but this is deep in a holler, and it's not to the bottom, but it's still further down the holler. And the bark is a rough one. It's more like similar to that of chestnut oak or something. But this is the way I hook everything up. And whenever your person practice, stay low. There's no reason to be climbing up. You can do everything that you would do to climb up a tree. You can do it down within just, 6 feet, 7 feet, something like that. You don't have to be but a couple feet off the ground. But I've got a climbing harness on here, and I've got the bridge adjusted, and I've got my leg loop. And my leg loop happens to be for my new system, and it serves two purposes: as my back band, as well as my leg loop, so it serves more than one thing. So I've got it tied in, and I've got it fastened. Now, a lot of people climb, they only use like I don't know, maybe a 4-inch leg loop. Well, I got this 8-inch leg loop. And for me, it provides a lot more comfort to set and work off of and do whatever it is you need to do. And I hook my leg loop in, and then I got a prusik knot. And that's what I hook into with my saddle. Now when I'm climbing, there's no weight on this line. It's all on my leg loop. Because if my saddle is what I'm sitting on, there's no use in having this. But at the same time, if you try to climb like this, you're not going to be near as efficient sitting in a saddle. It's not possible. This design, this technique, you have to have your weight shift from your leg loop to your foot loop. Now I use double foot stirrups on mine because when I climb up in a tree, that's what I use to put my feet in. I use a rigid saddle because it's way more comfortable and you can sit for a lot longer and enjoy it. But whenever you're climbing and you're moving your lines, now I use 1/2 inch line. I thought about using a bigger line, but it doesn't make big enough difference. It does make some difference, but it doesn't make big enough difference to go ahead and go up to the bigger line. But if I try a smaller line does not function like it should with this technique. It's too small, it's usually too flimsy, and it's not going to be efficient if you're having to do a lot of work in your lines. I see people put loops around their ropes to try to keep their hand from being between the tree and the rope. You can pinch a line like this if it's a 1/2 inch line. You've got plenty of room to do that. Okay. I usually don't even do that. I usually hook it with this finger and touch it right here, and then when you open this up, you're opening your loop up to where you can slide it, you can work it. If it's on a smooth tree, you can just slide it straight up. If you're on a rough tree, you have to work it back and forth, like I'm getting ready to do right here. Go ahead and hook my leg in. That helps to stabilize me. And then I just raise it up. You can raise it like that. And like I say, if you're on a smooth tree, and then I pinch on the other side, on this line. But if you're on a smooth tree, you can just push this up. Okay, so it makes you faster. But you can still go pretty fast on a rough tree. Now, I've been practicing some on going around limbs, which I won't show in this video. So I just mainly want to show how that I practice climbing in general, to be used to the process, so that when you go into woods, it's almost like a second nature that you do it that way. This morning I was hunting, and I actually climbed up in a tree, and I could hear the deers working around, and they was probably 70 or 80 yards from me, and a buck come down about 60 yards from me, and he took probably an hour, just barely moved, just a couple steps, and then he laid down, and a little bit later he got back up, ate a little bit, went down the creek, got a drink, went back up where he was. So they're not moving real heavy, but I was able to sneak in there, and I was unheard, and never spooked them or anything, and there's not too much stuff you can go in there. If I would have been carrying, I've tried the hybrid system, and it's just too noisy. In my opinion, it's too noisy. When I'm using my recurve bow, I've got about 120 degrees of coverage. When I'm sitting in a saddle, I can literally work around the tree. And that's one of the things that I practice. To give you an example of that, if I was to be set up right here, And keep in mind, whenever I'd be doing this, I usually use a rigid saddle when I set up. I take the weight off my leg loop, and then I got about 120 degrees, and if I, from this point around, it's about 120 degrees. If I have to move around a tree, I can quietly move around that tree to where I can get all the way, I can actually make my way all the way around a tree. But all this stuff I have practiced. I get used to it. And then when you're coming down a tree, well, I'll show you a little bit more going up a tree. Now if you notice, this hand here, when I open that loop up, there's nothing to be under the tree, between the tree and the rope. And when you notice, this hand here, it's not under the rope. And that's going up a tree. And whenever you get ready to come down a tree, if you don't watch, your rope will be down here. If you go down too far, it's a bigger step than you can take. You kind of get used to that, so you have to practice it. I use it by hand just the same way that if I was going up. I want that rope to catch on my thumb. That's where I'll come to. It controls how much of descent I actually go down. See? And then this one. Do it the same way. My finger is not under that rope. But now keep in mind, I'm climbing on rough bark trees, so there's some things that will differ a little bit. But again, if you're really serious about this type of climbing technique, the best visual training courses that I've seen is you're going to find if you type in CFE maneas, M-A-N-E-A-S, and that's Mexico's electrical company and utility company, and these guys do this stuff day in and day out. They're good at it. My climbing is probably, I appreciate some of the compliments you guys have paid me, but my climbing is mediocre compared to what they can do. I thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.